Before we begin tonight's Christmas story, I'd like to invite you to relax, just as the students of UA do whenever the winter winds grow quiet around Heights Alliance. Take a slow breath in, letting the cool winter air fill your chest, and a gentle breath out, as if releasing a tiny cloud of frost into a peaceful December night. Tonight, we'll step softly into a holiday adventure inside Class 1A's dorm. A night of twinkling lights, gentle snowfall, warm cocoa, and a secret Santa mystery that slowly unfolds into something heartfelt and magical. So if you're ready, snuggle in, let your shoulders drop, and let's begin. The first snow of December drifted quietly over UA High, settling like a soft blanket across the training grounds, the rooftops, and finally, very gently, against the tall windows of the Class 1A dorms. Inside, the world felt warm and still, wrapped in a calm that usually only arrived long after midnight. But on this winter morning, it appeared early, as if the season itself wanted to tiptoe into the building before anyone woke. In the common room, only the Christmas lights were awake. Tiny strands of warm white glow twinkled softly from the corners of the ceiling, weaving around the doorframes and shimmering faintly over the emptiness of the room. Someone, almost certainly Momo, had placed a pine-scented candle on the coffee table. And though it wasn't lit, the gentle fragrance lingered from the night before. The couch cushions were still fluffed, the blankets neatly folded, and the faint hum of the heater filled the space with a comforting warmth. Just as the clock turned 6, the dorm's front door let out a slow, sleepy creak. A cool breeze slipped in from the hallway, followed by the soft steps of Aisawa. He wasn't wrapped in his capture scarf this morning, just a long, cozy-looking coat and a mug of steaming black coffee in hand. His hair, as always, looked like he had negotiated with it and lost. He didn't say a word as he walked into the center of the room. He rarely did at this hour. He approached the coffee table, placed a single sheet of paper on it, and smoothed it flat with quiet care. It read, "Secret Santa. Gifts due in 3 days. Keep it peaceful. Aizawa." He stared at the note for a moment, let out a sigh that felt more like a resigned exhale than anything meaningful, and muttered, "Let's see if they can manage one holiday without property damage." A few stray Christmas lights flickered. He looked up at them with suspicion. Or at least, only a little. And with that, he shuffled out, leaving behind a faint trail of cold air and coffee scent. For a few minutes, the room remained still. Then, the sound of soft footsteps. Sleepy ones, heavy ones that paused halfway down the staircase, as if considering turning around and going back to bed. Midoriya appeared first, wrapped in a thick green hoodie that looked several sizes too big. His hair, already unruly, had somehow reached new levels of morning fluff. He blinked at the common room lights, rubbing his eyes as he shuffled toward the table. "Huh? A note?" he murmured, leaning in close enough that his breath fogged the paper. "Oh, Secret Santa. I love Secret Santa." His voice drifted off into a sleepy smile as he reached for a mug and filled it with hot cocoa from the machine. He took a warm sip, inhaled deeply, and sighed in a way that suggested his bones had melted into his slippers. Behind him, the soft clatter of determined footsteps echoed down the stairs. "I am proud of everyone for waking up early," Ida announced. at a volume far too energetic for the hour. He marched straight toward the table, leaned over Midoriya's shoulder, and adjusted his glasses. We must handle this secret Santa event with precision, organization, and... Kaminari came down the stairs behind him, wrapped like a burrito in a fluffy yellow blanket. Bro, it's literally 6-something in the morning, he mumbled, yawning loudly. It's too early for speeches. I don't even have enough brain cells online yet. Ida gasped, scandalized. It is never too early for structure. Before an argument could begin, or rather, before Ida could continue monologuing, Momo descended gracefully, hair tied in a loose ribbon, carrying a small box decorated with golden snowflakes. "Good morning, everyone," she said warmly. Her voice, calm and gentle, felt like it belonged to a winter morning. "I brought the name-drawing box. I thought we could start right after breakfast." "Bless you, Yaoyorozu," Kaminari whispered dramatically, clutching his blanket. "If I stand for too long, I'll fall asleep on the floor. Just let me draw a name and nap immediately." Tokoyami followed shortly after, sweeping into the room like a dramatic gust of poetic wind. "Winter's chill stirs the soul," he intoned, crossing his arms. "May fate decide whose holiday spirit I am destined to enrich." Koda, right behind him, gave everyone a small wave, then quietly walked to the kitchen to slice fruit for the group. His silent morning kindness. One by one, the rest of Class 1A filtered in. Some sleepy, some excited, some confused about what day it even was. Sero wandered in while brushing his teeth. Kirishima carried a blanket around his shoulders like a red cape. Ochako floated down the last 2 steps when she tripped, giggling softly as she steadied herself. Even Bakugo stomped in, though he refused to acknowledge the Christmas lights twinkling above his head. If anything, he glared at them for twinkling too confidently. When everyone had gathered, Momo gently shook the glittering box. "All right," she said softly. "Let's each draw a name. No peeking, okay?" Kaminari nudged Mineta. "That means you, dude." Mineta pouted. "I would never peek at a secret Santa name." Everyone stared at him. "Okay, fine," he whispered. One by one they reached into the box. The papers rustled softly. The lights glowed warmly. Outside, the snow continued to fall in slow, lazy flakes, drifting down like feather-light confetti. Deku unfolded his slip of paper and gasped quietly, excited. Ochako peeked at hers, a smile growing across her face. Tokoyami nodded solemnly at his, as if accepting some ancient winter quest. Bakugo scowled at his slip, but stuffed it into his pocket with a grunt. Kirishima grinned wide enough that everyone could tell he was thrilled. Ida tried not to react, but his eyebrows lifted in a micro-expression of delight. Nobody said who they got, but nearly everyone whispered something like, "Oh yeah, I totally know who got me." They didn't. Not even close. As the morning light slowly brightened behind the snowy windows, the class sat together in the warm common room, sipping cocoa and tea, wrapped in blankets and quiet excitement. A soft buzz of conversation drifted between them. Dreams of perfect gifts, plans for crafting, and gentle teasing about whose Santa would panic first. The moment felt peaceful, gentle, and wrapped in holiday warmth. And somewhere on the table, Aisawa's note remained exactly where he left it. Secret Santa. 3 days. Keep it peaceful. The students didn't know it yet, but peaceful was going to be a challenge. The next morning arrived softly, wrapped in grey clouds and slow-falling flakes that drifted past the windows like tiny feathers. Class 1A woke up one by one, each remembering the small slip of paper they had drawn, and each convinced they knew exactly who their own secret Santa was. They were all wrong, but that wouldn't stop them from guessing. The dorm felt warm and cozy as the day began. The kitchen hummed gently, with the sound of the kettle, the faint clink of mugs, the soft crackle of toast. Small noises that blended into a peaceful background melody. The scent of warm bread, cocoa, and a hint of vanilla filled the air. Midoriya sat at the counter, a pencil behind his ear and a notebook open in front of him. He had written 3 pages of brainstorming ideas, complete with arrows, doodles, and little notes like, too expensive, maybe handmade. Useful plus sentimental equals perfect combination. He stared at his notes, took a deep breath and whispered, "Okay, Deku, you can do this. Just focus." Across the room, Ochako watched him with a giggle. "Deku, you look like you're planning a mission, not a Christmas gift." He froze mid-sentence. "Oh, I mean, well, it kind of is a mission." Ochako floated a cookie off the tray Momo had baked and guided it gently into his hands. "Take a break," she said softly. "Gift ideas come easier when you're relaxed." He blinked down at the cookie, then at her. Her smile was warm, steadying. "Thanks, Uraraka." A few feet away, Kaminari stood on the couch, trying to string a new line of fairy lights along the wall. The lights blinked once, twice, and then suddenly flickered into a chaotic rainbow flash. "Whoa, hey, no, stop, please," he pleaded at the lights as if they were sentient. The lights did not stop. If anything, they blinked faster. Kaminari groaned. "This is not the aesthetic I was going for." Sero, sitting below him with a roll of tape, laughed quietly. "Bro, you say that every year." "It's different this time," Kaminari insisted. "These lights are smart lights. They're supposed to adjust automatically." "They're adjusting, all right," Tokoyami murmured from the corner. Into a state of electric turmoil. He was sitting beside Shoji, writing something in a small black notebook. Every so often he paused dramatically, stared into the middle distance, and whispered some poetic line like, "The winter wind carries whispers of destiny." Shoji nodded calmly, as if this was completely normal. Nearby, Kirishima and Sero were on wrapping duty. Or rather, they had assigned themselves wrapping duty, which was far riskier. Kirishima was doing his best, tongue between his teeth in fierce concentration. But no matter what he wrapped, the tape always ended up sticking to his hands. "Why is this tape so aggressive?" he groaned, peeling a piece off his fingers. Sero held up another piece like a surgeon preparing a tool. "Bro, you're using like half the roll. Just small pieces." "Small pieces aren't manly enough. You're wrapping a ceramic mug, not battling a villain." Kirishima paused. "Okay, true." At the next table, Jirou was sorting through tiny music charms she planned to attach to her gift. Little guitar, little piano, little harp with headphones. Every few minutes, she hummed quietly, then shook her head and reorganized them. "It has to be just right," she whispered. Momo sat with her, gently painting tiny snowflake patterns on a series of handcrafted ornaments. Her brush strokes were small and steady, her expression soft with focus. Jirou glanced over. "Wow, Yaoyorozu, those look like they belong in an expensive store." Momo blushed lightly. "Oh, thank you. I just thought it would be nice if everyone had something meaningful for the tree this year." Asui hopped over, wearing her cozy frog-patterned scarf. "Tsukasa," Mina said playfully. "Your scarf is adorable." Asui blinked slowly. "Thank you. I crocheted it myself." "You made it?" Mina gasped. Asui nodded. "I made a few things. I hope whoever I got likes handmade gifts." The warm buzz of activity continued throughout the room. Koda placed a bowl of freshly cut fruit on the counter, his gentle way of uplifting everyone. Tokoyami nodded in approval, as if Koda's fruit offerings symbolized the harvest of winter serenity. Koda simply smiled shyly. Even Bakugo was working, though he refused to admit it. He stood at the kitchen counter, arms crossed, staring intensely at a book titled Holiday Baking for Beginners. He wasn't touching it. He wasn't opening it. He was just glaring at it. Kirishima walked by. "Hey man, need help?" "No," Bakugo snapped. "I am assessing the structural integrity of the recipes." Kirishima blinked. What?" Bakugo turned away and muttered something about stupid holiday spirit and dumb secret Santa assignments. But he didn't walk away from the cookbook. Meanwhile, the living room and kitchen filled with the soft sounds of gentle chaos. Tape ripping, cocoa being poured, Kaminari's lights buzzing, Jiro's soft humming, the crackle of the fireplace video playing on the TV. Everything was warm, cozy, unhurried. By midday, the dorm looked quietly festive, cluttered with wrapping paper, ribbons, and stray sparkles. Yes, but warm and alive. Momo placed the last ornament she'd crafted onto the tree and stepped back with a satisfied sigh. Kaminari finally got his lights to glow a consistent soft gold. After Sero unplugged the smart feature, Koda prepared a small tray of warm tea and passed it around to anyone who looked tired. Eventually, one by one, each student slipped their wrapped gift under the tree. Tiny ones wrapped delicately. Some wrapped too enthusiastically. One wrapped in so much tape that Aizawa would later assume it was a prank. The tree glittered in the soft afternoon light, gifts piled quietly beneath it like a mountain of secret hopes. As the snow outside continued to fall, slow, steady, peaceful, the class gathered in the common room, exhausted from their gentle chaos but smiling warmly at their handiwork. "Tomorrow night," Ida announced proudly, "we shall host our official secret Santa ceremony." "Yeah!" Kaminari cheered weakly from the couch. "After I nap for forever." Jirou sipped her tea, eyelids drooping. "It's gonna be really sweet." Ochako hugged her knees to her chest, smiling softly. "I can't wait." Midoriya nodded. Notebook closed at last. Me too. Even Bakugo, hiding at the edge of the room, didn't roll his eyes. Not too dramatically, anyway. The dorm felt peaceful, glowing, held together by the warmth of a friendship and the soft quiet of winter. Tomorrow would bring the secret Santa reveal, and all the surprises that came with it. But for now, they rested, wrapped in blankets, surrounded by soft lights, drifting slowly into the gentle lull of a winter afternoon. Evening settled gently over UA, sinking the courtyard into a quiet sea of silver light. The snow that had fallen earlier in the day now rested in soft mounds along the pathways, sparkling under lanterns that flickered like tiny stars. Inside the Class 1A dorms, the warmth of the common room glowed like a beacon against the winter night. The Christmas tree stood tall beside the window, its ornaments catching the light in little glimmers of gold and soft red. Momo's painted snowflakes shimmered delicately among the branches, and Kaminari's newly non-chaotic lights bathed the room in a warm, gentle glow. Under the tree, the gifts rested in a cozy mountain of shapes and sizes. Some neatly wrapped, some taped with enthusiasm. The students gathered in pajamas and blankets, slippers shuffling softly across the floor. A hush settled over the room. Not silence, just the peaceful quiet of people who enjoy being together. Midoriya sat cross-legged near the tree, clutching a mug of warm cocoa that still steamed lightly. Ochako settled beside him, her blanket draped over her shoulders like a cape. Ida arrived with a tray of herbal tea, making absolutely sure it wouldn't spill. And Kirishima carried a giant bowl of popcorn that he promised he wouldn't drop this time. Jirou curled up with a pillow, her earphone jacks swaying gently, while Kaminari sank into the couch with a dramatic sigh of exhaustion and pride. Even Bakugo showed up. Not that anyone had expected him to. He walked in with his hands in his pockets, scowling at the cozy atmosphere as if it personally offended him. But he didn't leave, and he didn't complain, so it was secretly a win. A soft crackling sound from the fireplace video on the TV added to the warmth. The room felt like the calmest winter dream. Momo clasped her hands together and smiled. "All right, shall we begin?" Everyone nodded, some eagerly, some sleepily. Ida cleared his throat. "We shall proceed in an orderly fashion." Kaminari groaned into a pillow. "Dude, not tonight. Let the Christmas spirit guide us." Ida blinked. "The Christmas spirit?" Kirishima nudged him. "Just roll with it, bro." With an amused sigh, Momo reached under the tree and selected the first gift, a small box wrapped in shiny gold paper. It says, "To Jirou." Jirou blinked in surprise as everyone turned to her. She scooted forward, accepting the little box with a soft smile. The wrapping glimmered under the lights, and when she opened it, her breath caught in a quiet gasp. Inside was a tiny hand-carved wooden guitar, delicate, polished, and beautifully detailed. Attached to it was a note. "For your music that guides us through hard days, thank you." Jirou's expression softened. Her eyes shimmered just slightly. "Wow, this is really sweet." Tokoyami cleared his throat, looking away in an exaggerated, dramatic pose. "I simply followed the call of artistic destiny." Jirou chuckled. "Thank you, Tokoyami. It's perfect." He nodded solemnly. but the faint glow of pride on his face was unmistakable. The next gift was for Kirishima, a box wrapped in paper covered with tiny red dragons. He tore it open with excitement, revealing a pair of custom red and black workout gloves with tiny spikes stitched along the knuckles. "No way! These are awesome!" Zero raised his hand sheepishly. I asked Momo for help, but the idea was mine." Kirishima grabbed him in a big hug, nearly lifting him off the floor. "Bro, you know me so well." Zero wheezed. "Yeah, can't breathe." Everyone laughed softly, the sound warm and gentle. The third gift went to Ochako, a small round package wrapped in pink paper. When she opened it, she found a delicate snow globe. Inside, a tiny figure floated peacefully among drifting white flakes. A miniature version of Yue's main building beneath the serene winter sky. Ochako's eyes sparkled. "It's beautiful." Midoriya rubbed the back of his neck, blushing bright red as Kaminari whispered loudly, "Oh, Deku made her a snow globe." Midoriya squeaked, "Kaminari, it was just... I thought she'd like something calming." Ochako held it close to her chest. "I love it, Deku. Really." Her smile was so warm that even Bakugo rolled his eyes with less intensity than usual. The gifts continued, each opened with quiet excitement. Asui received a handmade frog-patterned bookmark set from Koda, who shyly handed it over with a tiny bow. Momo received a beautifully bound recipe journal from Jirou, decorated with music notes across the cover. Kaminari received a bag of Smart Light Safe clips from Zero, along with a note. "Please stop electrocuting the decorations." Todoroki received a soft blue scarf from Kirishima, knitted unevenly, but with so much heart that he put it on immediately without correcting a single crooked stitch. And each time a gift was revealed, the room glowed a little warmer. Finally, there were only 2 presents left. The next was a neatly wrapped white box labeled "To Bakugo." Bakugo narrowed his eyes as if the box might explode. He opened it cautiously. Inside was a small tin of gingerbread cookies, each one shaped like a tiny cartoon explosion. And they smelled incredible. Bakugo stared at them, then at the person who gave them, which was Midoriya, sweating nervously. I thought maybe, you'd like homemade cookies that match your aesthetic?" Midoriya squeaked. Bakugo slowly picked up one of the cookies. A long moment passed. "They look good," he muttered. Midoriya almost fainted. Kirishima gasped. "Bro, that's basically a love letter from you." "Shut up," Bakugo snapped, but his face softened ever so slightly as he bit into a cookie. And then, the final present. Momo retrieved the last gift from under the tree, wrapped in shiny silver paper. It says, "To Yaoyorozu." Momo blinked. "Oh, that's me." She opened the box with careful fingers. Inside was a tiny glass ornament, hand-painted, showing the class 1. A dorm glowing warmly against a snowy sky. The windows were lit with little specks of gold paint. The snow shimmered. And above the dorm, in beautiful, careful lettering, it read, "Home." Momo covered her mouth, touched by the tenderness of it. Ochako leaned in. It's so pretty. Ida blinked rapidly behind his glasses. Whoever made this is very skilled. Across the room, Shoji raised a hand sheepishly. I thought it would remind you how much you bring us together. Momo's eyes softened into a warm, shimmering smile. Shoji, thank you. It's perfect. And with that, the final gift was opened. The tree lights twinkled gently. The cocoa cups were mostly empty. The popcorn bowl was mysteriously still full. Thank you, gravity-resistant Ochako. For a long, soft moment, Class 1A simply sat together in the quiet glow of the dorm, surrounded by their gifts, and the warm feeling that came with giving something from the heart. Tomorrow, the Snowfall would return. Tomorrow, training and responsibilities and routines would all continue. But tonight was for warmth, for friendship, for a peaceful winter evening shared with people who cared for one another more than they realized. Momo sighed happily. This was wonderful. Jirou nodded. Yeah, one of our best nights. Kaminari wrapped himself in his blanket. I'm gonna sleep right here. Wake me in a few days. Bakugo rolled his eyes. Don't drool on the couch. Midoriya and Ochako shared quiet smiles. And as the room grew quieter, the lights dimmer, and the night deeper, a gentle calm settled over all of them. A calm that carried them into the final scene to come. A winter night under falling snow. Night had fallen softly over UA, draping Heights Alliance in a blanket of velvety darkness dotted with twinkling stars. A light snow drifted down from the sky, slow and lazy, as if the world itself were winding down for sleep. Inside the dorm, a soft golden glow spilled out from the common room windows, shimmering like warmth made visible. And inside, every student gathered, buzzing quietly with excitement, but also wrapped in a sense of calm, as if this moment had been waiting for them all season. The fireplace, recently repaired by Yaoyorosu after Kaminari accidentally blew a fuse, crackled with gentle pops. The tree sparkled with snowflake-shaped lights that Bakugo had pretended not to care about, but had secretly adjusted 3 times to make sure they were perfectly balanced. The entire room smelled faintly of cocoa pine and the sugar cookies Sato had baked earlier in the evening. Tonight was the night. The secret Santa gifts had vanished that morning, literally spirited away. Once Aisawa learned about the mysterious magical delivery problems. And now, after a day of anticipation, the staff had arranged a warm, peaceful Christmas Eve gathering so the gifts could finally be revealed. It's time, Class 1A, Aisawa said from the front of the room, wrapped in a scarf and looking more relaxed than usual. Please sit anywhere you like. The staff will bring out your secret Santa surprises. Midoriya sat cross-legged on the cozy rug near the fire. Uraraka settled beside him with a yawn that she tried to hide with both hands. Todoroki took a seat on the couch, one side warmed by the fire, and one side cooled by the window beside him. Bakugo stood for a moment, arms folded, then quietly sat down too, pretending it was because he wanted better visibility. The lights dimmed gently, not enough to make anyone sleepy, but just enough to make the glowing tree and the shimmering snow outside feel like part of the story. One by one, the staff entered with neatly wrapped presents, glowing faintly with a soft golden shimmer. Recovery Girl carried a tray with a surprising amount of strength for her size. present mic followed, humming a gentle holiday tune under his breath. And behind them, in a rare moment of serenity, even All Might, still in his thin form, carried a stack of gifts, with warmth radiating from his smile. The boxes didn't float this time. Instead, they drifted down slowly, like feathers caught on a winter breeze, landing before each student with perfect precision. A soft murmur rippled through the class. "This is kinda magical," Jirou whispered, touching the bow on her box. "It's Christmas Eve," Midoriya said quietly, eyes glowing with the reflection of the tree. "Maybe that's why." Aisawa cleared his throat. "All right, you can open them." The room bloomed with sound, not loud or chaotic, but soft with excitement. Wrapping paper rustled like falling leaves. Ribbons whispered as they slid off boxes. And everywhere, gentle laughter mingled with surprise. Midoriya opened his present first. Inside lay an intricately hand-painted and All Might ornament, done in an adorable chibi style, tiny smile beaming with exaggerated confidence. Midoriya's face warmed instantly, pink rising in his cheeks. "This is amazing," he whispered. Uraraka nudged him with her shoulder. "I think you know who that's from." Midoriya nodded shyly. "Yeah, she's always so thoughtful." Across the room, Ida unwrapped a perfectly organized calendar planner, complete with tabs, color-coded sections, and sticky notes with encouraging quotes. He gasped so loudly it startled Kaminari. This is magnificent. Truly a tool of order and discipline." Momo smiled politely. "I hoped it would be useful." "It is beyond useful," Ida exclaimed. "It is transcendent." Not far away, Jirou grinned as she pulled a pair of noise-cancelling headphones from her box. A sleek black pair with purple accents, clearly custom designed. Tokoyami nodded solemnly. "So that you may rest peacefully, even when others do not." "Thanks, dude," Jirou said softly, genuinely touched. Meanwhile, Sero and Kaminari had somehow gotten each other. Tape and batteries. They both stared at the gifts, then burst into laughter. "Bro, this is destiny," Kaminari wheezed. "No, this is efficiency," Sero laughed back. Todoroki's gift was simple, but surprisingly heartfelt. A beautifully knitted scarf, half red and half white, made with careful stitches. He traced the yarn between his fingers. "This must be from Midoriya," he said softly. Midoriya looked up from admiring his All Might ornament. "Ah, yeah. I thought it'd be warm, even if you don't get cold easily." Todoroki draped it over his shoulders with a small, rare smile. "Thank you. It's comforting." Uraraka opened her gift next, finding a snowflake-shaped crystal that glowed softly, like a tiny star caught in glass. Taped beside it was a note. "For moments when you want the world to feel a little lighter." She recognized the handwriting instantly. "Todoroki," she whispered warmly. He nodded slightly from across the room. "I thought you'd like it." And then, of course, there was Bakugo. He sat with his arms crossed as if daring the box to do something stupid. But when he finally tore the paper, more gently than anyone expected, he found inside a cooking apron embroidered with tiny chili peppers, and a small tag that read, "You make the best food in the dorm. Keep going. Sato." Bakugo's eyes softened for half a heartbeat before he scowled. "Tch, whatever. It's practical. Sato smiled quietly to himself. Throughout the room, joy settled like snow, soft, steady, and peaceful. Aisawa looked around, eyes half-lidded, but content. Looks like everything worked out. Present. Mike beamed. This is the quietest holiday I've ever seen. I love it. Outside, the snow deepened, blanketing the world in silence. Inside, the students gathered their gifts close, forming small clusters around the tree and the fireplace. The crackling logs glowed brighter for a moment, scattering warm reflections across their faces. A thought passed through the room, unspoken, but shared by all. Tonight wasn't just about the gifts. It was about friendship, about the feeling of being seen and understood, about knowing that, even in a world full of danger and responsibility, they had moments like this. Moments to breathe, to rest, to be simply themselves. Midoriya leaned back against the couch, eyes closing gently. Uraraka wrapped herself in a blanket shaped like a giant cinnamon roll, Tsu's gift to her. Kaminari and Kirishima dozed off sitting up. Even Bakugo's scowl softened slightly as he rested his head back against the wall. The golden light dimmed a little further, becoming softer, dreamier, almost like starlight. And as Christmas Eve settled fully over Heights Alliance, peace settled with it. The students slept, some with gifts clutched close, some with dreams of heroism, some simply grateful for the warmth of friends. Outside, the snow continued to fall, quiet, calm, endlessly gentle, and for one night, everything was still.